we're going to go out and we're going to have a lot of hope that it turns out good.
Yeah.
Which for a big brand like McDonald's, where they're bringing in their agency and creative director and we're the production company, we don't want to let them down. We don't want to let anybody down.
I think we got 15 interviews within
crazy.
the first 2.5 hours.
Everyone was going to work, and we were
Yes.
like, wait, but will you talk about McDonald's?
Founded in 1999 by Jason Burks, Retrospec Films is Oklahoma's largest turnkey production company of its kind. With a full-time team of over 20 talented individuals, a 12,000 square foot studio to create in, and a resume that spans some of the world's largest brands, if you love learning about filmmaking and storytelling, you've come to the right place. On each episode, we discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve by digging up projects from the last 20 years. Giving you a glimpse behind the scenes where the magic happens. You're listening to Retrospec Films from the archives.
Hello, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us on Retrospec from the Archives. This is our in-house podcast where we talk about all of the problems we solve and the creative things we get to create here at this production company. We dig things up from the past, sometimes years ago, sometimes months ago, sometimes last week. And today, joining me, we have Jessica Hightower, producer, client manager, and sometimes makeup artist, but she doesn't always want to do that anymore.
Yeah. And
Or
Jason
maybe I don't want you
yeah.
to do it.
Jason doesn't want me
I'm
to
like,
do it.
doesn't want to do it anymore.
Do it.
And we have Caroline Rice.
Hello.
Yes, Caroline would be, let's see, creative strategist, a little bit of writing, directing,
Yeah.
client management,
All the hats.
a little bit of producing, even though you throw things at us when we ask you to produce.
I don't like it, but I'll
She
do
gets
it.
angry.
That's okay. We got to have all the roles here. So today we're going to talk about a very unique project, as we always try to choose unique projects. And we're going to talk about McDonald's.
Yes.
Woohoo.
Nobody's going to sing that.
Loving it.
There we go.
Thank you. You both have great voices. Somebody
we were
sing
waiting
it.
for
We
Caroline
should have done
to
like
do it.
one,
Yeah.
two,
Sing
and
the
did
ditty.
harmony.
Let's see. I think it was definitely this year.
Yes. Yeah, it was
I
in the
don't-
summer.
Factual.
I don't remember
was
exactly
hot.
when.
I think it was
hot.
in June
Okay.
or
Yeah.
May. June.
We had a lot of projects going on. I
Mhm.
think, strangely, I was in Dallas shooting Cane's.
You
I think that's
probably
right.
were, yeah.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
I'm shooting one fast food
Mhm.
restaurant, and you guys are shooting the other.
Yes.
We're really helping America's health.
Yeah, we are.
We'll just stay off of that. So the McDonald's project was for an agency out of Los Angeles
Mhm.
called Davis Ellen.
Yep.
And this is one of their longtime clients.
Yes.
And they were venturing into a, I guess you could kind of call it testimony. How would you describe this project creatively? Who knows the most about it?
They were. It was a testimony video. They were trying to put together videos in different markets to show how many people loved McDonald's in different markets across the U.S. So
Yeah.
they were doing it in Boston and like different areas. So yeah, Tulsa was one of them.
So it's kind of a collection of opinions, more or
Mhm.
less.
Yes.
And I think one thing that's worth noting is sort of the approach to this, which, we do all forms of production here, but I think this approach is common. It's complicated, but I think it's something we thrive in this. We're going to be nimble. We're going to go out and we're going to have a lot of hope that it turns out good.
Yes.
Because we're going to try to capture people on the fly.
Oh yeah.
Which for a big brand like McDonald's, where they're bringing in their agency and creative
Mhm.
director and we're the production company, we don't want to let them down. We don't want to let anybody down.
Right.
But this ask was kind of like that, right? And I know that like Brandon produced a lot of things on the
Mhm.
front side.
Mhm.
Then he was down in Texas with me shooting
Yes.
Cane's, and you took the handoff
Mhm.
coordinating and
Mhm.
functioning as producer on set. So why don't we kind of start with that? Tell us just more about the ask and even what the day was like. What were you guys doing on this project here in
Mhm.
Tulsa?
So the ask was to get 30 to 35 people, just random interviews to pull them off of the street. And a lot of the questions were, what do you think about McDonald's mobile app? What do you think about, their dollar menu? Different things like that. And so there were real, raw, unfiltered opinions that we got to hear. But most people loved it.
Yeah.
But the day was actually great. Terrence was there. He is the creative director at Davis Ellen.
Yep.
And And we picked him up the day before to scout and like take him to different areas. So we took him to downtown, we took him to Brookside, like all of these different areas to try to tell him, oh, this will be where we get, great people. We can get, kind of different creative people here and then different people here. And he was like, awesome. Like he loved it because he had never been to Tulsa. So we kind of took him on a little mini tour and then took him back to his hotel and then dropped him off. But then the next day we picked him up again and we took him and we started in downtown. It was like kind of by the Hyatt over in that area. And I think we got 15 interviews within like
crazy.
the first 2.5 hours. Like it was like this.
Everyone was going to work, and we were like, wait, but will you talk about McDonald's?
Yes,
and,
yes.
And honestly, like some of them were obviously reluctant, but a lot of people took us up on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we had $10 gift cards, but they got 2.
So they got $20.
Yes,
to
so
spend.
$20. So when I went to McDonald's the day before to get like all of the gift cards, which I needed like 200 and something, the McDonald's people, I walked in, I'm like, I need 39 gift cards because they only had 39 gift cards. But anyways, so we were passing those out. And so people really enjoyed that we were passing those out and they would give their own opinion. But I think we stayed there until like 10:30. We moved up the street, maybe a block, and we got like 10 to 15 more people. I mean, it was just like left and right, which Alicia and Caroline were doing great. They were both like super social people, and they were like, hey, you do want to be on camera? And it was amazing because, I can do it, but it's not my favorite thing. I would rather be there and just make sure everything happens. So the person would be on camera and they'd be answering questions that Terrence would be asking, some about the mobile app and different things. The mobile app was a big kind of reference point that he kept asking people.
Yes.
Which some people, we heard some people love the mobile app.
Apparently it's a great app.
Yeah. And they get free meals and things from it. If you use it so many times, you get like a free meal or a free sandwich or something. I had no idea. But so after we had all of those interviews, I think we went to Brookside to get an interview in front of a McDonald's. There's one at like 15th and Peoria, and Caroline was one of those interviews.
Yeah, I was on camera at like the last one of the day, which was fun.
Yes. And then we threw in Justin, our sound guy. And we were like, well, who's going to hold the
boom.
hold the boom pole? And I was like, I'll do it because I've just been standing there with Terrence all day, making sure everything happens. So, yeah, we got 30 interviews and then I think our day wrapped at like 3.
Yeah, we got done, I think, hours early.
Yes.
Which was awesome. Because I think we anticipated being there for much longer.
Right.
Terrence had said that in other cities that they'd gone to, in, what was it, Buffalo?
Buffalo.
They couldn't even get like 5 people. Like it was like...
Wow.
Horrible. I think they also went in like the dead of winter, so
That's true.
That could have had an effect. But we were just getting a lot of people, and I think that kind of speaks to Tulsa as a city. Like, stranger danger is not much of a thing here. Like we're game to talk to people, and that was the response that we found mostly. So it was really great.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit, and Caroline, your opinions on this, but the art of getting people to be on a video when they didn't even know who you were 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And I know, like, for me, like, I have this experience with World of Concrete with Hilti, because every year for now, almost, 15, 20 years, there's all these people there, and I literally walk up with a microphone in my hand with tape on it, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing right now? But it is interesting because it is this moment where you have to seem likable, seem approachable, seem comfortable, them not feel like you're weird or intimidating, and that what you're going to ask them to do is worthwhile. But tell me kind of your approach, because that is such a unique, critical aspect of this form of production, because these kind of productions happen. And many times the story of New York that you guys talked about, Buffalo, that's pretty common. Like people are like, yeah, we should have scheduled it. We couldn't find anybody. Everybody said no. And in the back of my mind, when I hear those things, you know what I always think? The person that was asking people, they didn't do the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
So tell me your approach.
I would say I think it's a little bit of an art because there's kind of a lot of things you want to juggle. First, you're kind of like assessing the person. A lot of like the first location we were at was a lot of business people and they were headed to work. So I'm kind of like looking at their pace of walking. And if they're like sprinting, I'm not even going to try, right? If they're leisurely on their phone, like eating a sandwich, I'm like, that's my person, you know?
Yes.
And so, and they're dressed nice, you know, they still look like maybe they're headed to work, but maybe they have a little bit more margin. And so you kind of approach them. I make friends with everybody, so I feel like it was a good task for me. So I was like, hi, you know, I have a clipboard, so that's like my first red flag. But I'm like, hi, sorry, yes, I know I have a clipboard. So
Would
basically
you like
what we're
to take
doing,
a survey?
yeah. And then I kind of just paint the scenario for them. And I think a big key thing is not appearing desperate because I think that scares people. If you're like, please do it, please, you know, like, I'm so sorry, I don't want to bother you, like painting it kind of in the negative, then they're less inclined to do it. But if you're like, so would you be interested in being in this McDonald's project?
Yeah.
That sounds a lot more like, it's a little vague, but it's a lot more exciting for somebody like, oh, this massive food chain is doing a project.
Yes.
What's the project?
Yes.
You know, I could be in their video. Is it a commercial? And they'll start to ask some of their questions. You field some of those, and then you say, and they'll get $20 to spend at McDonald's. And some people don't eat at McDonald's, and that was the case even with people that we were interviewing, but someone they know eats at McDonald's. Having a gift card is never a bad thing. And I think curiosity was really what was kind of propelling some of these people to want to be involved. And so, yeah, we got a lot of people, and Alicia was really great at it too. So her and I would just kind of divide and conquer, and yeah, it went well.
That's great. I want to talk a little bit about the production approach to this, which I'm sure both of you guys could maybe have some feedback on. I feel like, you know, I wasn't on this one. If I had been and I was directing, you know, I generally would probably say a few things. And I think I did tell these things to Jacob, who I think Jacob took lead on camera on this one.
Yes.
And it is be nimble, be ready, be mobile, and have a couple cameras going because you never really know.
Yeah.
And some of the little nuances in this space are like, do we use prime lenses or do we use zoom lenses? And it's amazing, even that one little thing makes such a massive difference on what the video can become, because you never have, like, you're out there grabbing someone, that person's like, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes, right? That's it. No one's going to be like, put me on your calendar and I'll be there in 45.
Or I'm waiting in line.
No, they're not waiting in line. So then the camera guys, they don't know where they're going to be. You're moving around and you need to make it look good. That's what we got hired to do. And you can't be like, crap, I have a 25 mil on and I need an 85 mil, right? So you got to have a zoom lens. That's like a start thing. The multi-camera aspect is important too, because again, making sure that you have enough coverage of what's being shot to make it good. And then I don't even know, did you guys lav people or just use boom, or what did you guys do?
We did both.
A little bit of both, which is always smart.
Yes, we laved and then had Justin there.
Yeah.
You know, booming, and he used his lav and put them on there.
Yeah.
It was all going so fast though. Like, because when I would bring somebody, because they had to fill out some paperwork and there was kind of some processing, I would say they were in and out in 10 minutes, which is pretty fast.
Yes.
And yeah, it felt like a machine. Like
it was.
Everyone was ready, and which I was really appreciative of, because I felt like I put these people on the hook a little bit, and so wouldn't want to waste their time. And so yeah, I was glad that it was a well-oiled machine, like what you're talking about.
Yep.
I know, Jess, you know, you tend to be maybe not as bad as Brandon, but you're kind of a stopwatch person. So sometimes I feel you in my peripheral and I'm like, go away. I have plenty of time. Stop. Get out. No, over there. But you know, I'd like to hear your opinions on, and these are little nuances, but just having the right team members that know how to do their job perfectly the first time right then and there. Like, because we've all been on shoots. I mean, not really so much anymore. I think we have one of the best teams.
Yes.
But where like the camera guy's like, hold on a second, and they put the camera on the ground and they're like doing something. Or the sound guy's like, something's not working. And all those things completely ruin a shoot like this. Talk to me just a little bit about some of your opinions on those things in general, and how critical it is of having people that know how to do their job right in the first moment. Like, not the second try, not the third try. Like, the first try, you have one opportunity to get this right. And if you don't, it's gone.
Yeah. I think it's very critical that each team member plays an important part and they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly when call time is and they know exactly when we're going to roll and we're ready at the start of it. We're not waiting on someone to get there. I mean, that's how we were able to have such a well-oiled machine, is because they were out there pulling people in, and they wouldn't stay there when we did the interview. They were out on the prowl, getting more interviews. And so when they were out there getting more people, we were there, to initiate the conversation with the interviewee and take care of that. And so to have both cameras and we hired a freelance also, John Hood, for this. And so to have him there to be able to, help Jacob in those scenarios, because I mean, Jacob couldn't have captured everything.
Sure.
He needed A and B cam. So to just have him there as help for Jacob, and they were so in sync too. So it's nice to have two people that know exactly what they're doing. And then Justin, he's a professional sound person. So he was there making sure that, we weren't having to wait. Oh, well, it doesn't sound right. Hold on. I mean, I think the only times we really had to wait were loud trucks and then a train and then like other things. But that's normal, or like loud people walking by. But it's just very, very important that everyone knows exactly what they're doing and that they do it correctly. Caroline and Alicia, they had their clipboards, pins, and everything ready to go. They had their walking shoes on and their positive attitudes. I mean, it's super important. And to go out there with a smile, and like she was saying, you don't want to go and be like, so we're kind of doing this thing. And I mean, you don't really have to do it if you don't want, going into it and being like, hey, there's an important opportunity that you could be a part of here.
Yeah.
So that was beneficial. And then Terrence, just having all of his questions ready, being prepared, and he was not feeling well because the night before he ate some food that was like not sitting right.
Yeah.
So for him to like just get out there, power through and just kill it was awesome. And he was kind of a cool person. He's a record person. So
very cool.
But awesome.
Caroline, I'm curious in closing, I know that probably more so since that project, you've been directing and doing some questioning, a lot more of that. And historically, that's something I've spent a lot of time doing. I still do it a lot. But what would you say would be kind of a takeaway or some things that you think you learned from this shoot, being around somebody like Terrence, who's creative director of one of the larger, more successful agencies in the U.S.?
Yeah, what I noticed about Terrence's approach is that he really was kind of he had the same questions really for each interviewee, but he connected with them differently. And so he kind of like schmoozed them. I mean, not schmoozed them, but he connected with them before they started, had some conversation, and made a little friend. And then he really just asked the same questions to everybody and had a lot of versatile responses. I think whenever I'm directing and interviewing, I like to change it up and have like a lot of different approaches, but it was interesting to see him be able to have that efficiency and really like reap good results. Because that was something that I would think, the same ones every single time. But it worked for him. So it just goes to show that, depending on what your goals are, how you strategize, how you'll question might look different. So
I agree. No, I think it's always, I mean, obviously it's not what this episode's about, but I feel like the art form of how you authentically respond and authentically hold conversation in a way that creates authentic answers is so important, and it's tricky. Like, that's why, like, very rarely will you ever see me holding anything. And it's kind of to a deficit because I can't memorize the world. And I've had lots of clients that are like, here's the questions. And I'm like, great, thank you.
Like,
I'm like, great. But it's like, I've just, through the years, I've just noticed people's demeanor change when they go, oh, he has a bunch of intimidating questions on a sheet of paper versus he's just going to talk to me.
Absolutely.
When they think he's going to talk to me, they're like, well, I can talk to him.
Yes.
But when they're like, what's on that?
On that paper.
What's on that paper over there? How come no one sent that to me? And I'm like,
it's like a
because
therapist
if I send it to you, you'll memorize your answer. So I don't like doing that. So
Yeah.
it's a balance, I think that like every project kind of has its like, I'm trying to learn to be less stubborn in that because, our editors are sometimes like, stop having 2-hour conversations about
get to know them less.
Yeah, get to know them less and just ask them what we need in the video.
Right.
But that's fine. I'm just doing my best in between. But But yeah, so anyways, well, that's very cool. Any final thoughts on this McDonald's project? I didn't see the final. Did you guys see the final?
So it was a unique situation. We weren't doing post-production on it, so we didn't see the final. And I also think it was for internal use for McDonald's.
Right.
And so it's not something that we're going to like see on TV or anything.
Yes.
But I imagine it went great. Based on the interviews, I couldn't see it ending up being a poor edit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's more than enough to make a great video.
Yeah.
We got a lot of happy emails from the agency afterwards. So I was glad because, again, like the majority of our team was in Dallas on a 5-day shoot. So it was like, oh my gosh, how can we pull off?
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is it for today's episode of From the Archives. Hope you enjoyed talking a little bit about Retrospec Films and McDonald's. If you liked what you saw, I think we have like 40 to 50 episodes now. So you can hear about all kinds of projects that we have created. And they're available on all the platforms, on Apple and Spotify and all those things. I like to look at them on our website because they have video too, which maybe you're watching right now. So retrospecfilms.com, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Later.